Hi everyone, welcome to Changing Scripts. Okay, so I wanted to make a quick video for a couple of reasons. One, I want to show off my new tech, and two, I want to talk about in a little more detail the method that I'm using to learn the Chinese language. It is, I think, quite different than how most people learn it. Not as a, oh look at me, I'm unique, I'm amazing, but as a last resort, I'm a terrible language learner. I must find a way for me to push through this kind of thing. So first, the tech. Okay, so this guy here, I probably just messed up the sound. This guy is my new microphone. I accidentally bought one that only goes into a USB drive on computers, so I have to buy a little adapter so that I can use it on my phones as well when I do the walkabout videos. But I'm super excited because I just did a test run and it sounds good just from the 10 seconds I recorded, so hopefully you can hear me a little bit better. I switch from 2 computers to 2 cell phones depending on where I am and what I'm recording. So I want to get a device that catches the audio as much as possible because, let's face it, this is although this is a visual medium, we're talking about language, and language needs to be clear in order to be understood. And man, is that becoming clear the more and more that I try to pronounce the pinyin correctly. The second bit is my new tripod. I don't know if you can see this yet. There we go. There's the top of it. That's where the cell phone goes into. Has a clip here. And I use this mostly at home. I'm not carrying this around with me. But you can see how it's angled and it moves like here, so I can get it pretty steady and face on so it hits at an angle that's not up my nose like one of my unfortunate new walkabout videos. Sorry about that. So inside, we're safe from any up the nose-ness from now on. Outside, I'm still working on some things. But you can kind of see how big this creature is. It goes all the way to the ground and then up to that height. I would stand up next to it to show you how tall it is, but I am at home in my jammies, and that would be mostly unfortunate. But here I am next to it sitting down, so that'll give you an idea of how tall it is. So it's pretty awesome for my inside recording. I did buy a selfie stick for outside recordings, but I feel really weird walking around with my arm out. It's not the selfie stick itself, it works fine. It's just holding my arm out when I'm walking, especially with like 10-15 minute videos or 20-minute videos that I cut down to less. It's just kind of an awkward feeling, so I'd rather hold my phone here. I need to figure out the technology to have it not move around as much, because I do know it is a bit jumpy. I am aware of that, but I'm kind of focused more on content than on tech with this. But I am searching around for solutions. A GoPro camera has been recommended to me more times than I can count, mostly from friends. You guys haven't recommended anything yet, so if you know of any good devices for videos. I walk, I don't run when I do the walkabout, so it doesn't need to be super actiony, it doesn't need to be super expensive. It just needs to be like something, because I already have enough stuff in my bag, to be honest with you. I live in a city, so I carry a lot of stuff around, so it just needs to be not that big. The smaller the better, but I don't want to spend a ton of money on it because I already have 2 phones. I came to China with this wonderful LG phone that does not work here, even though I thought it did, because Sprint in the US doesn't always have 4G that is global 4G, which I did not know before coming to China. So, so there's that. So I had to get a new phone in Hong Kong because I didn't want a lot of the restrictions that the Chinese phones had, and I didn't want the language barrier. The ones that were available in Hong Kong had a wider, easier English menu options and all that kind of stuff. So I got that in Hong Kong a couple months ago, and it's been working great, but the video on the new phone is not as good as the video on the old phone. So I've been carrying both around, and I've been using the old phone for walkabout videos and the new phone for just basic, anything that needs data to get to the internet and phones and WeChat and whatnot. Because as much as I love WeChat, you can only have it on one phone, so I can't just carry around my old phone and then bring this one when I know I'm going to need data. Oh, no. It's complicated. So that's the tech part. Now, as far as the methodology part goes, it all really, and I think I mentioned this in the intro video, it really came to light what I've been doing wrong with my own language learning. When I met with the one person that I thought might be my Chinese tutor, when I first started this project. That was probably 3 months ago. Then I took a few weeks to think about things, and then I started this channel and started to self-learn with everybody else's tools online. So I don't know how about self-learning that is. But basically, I found myself kind of defending wanting to work on reading and writing with her. And it really, really got me thinking, I need visuals to hang my hat on. I can't just learn with sounds floating around me. I need something to be attached to them. And I've known this my whole life. I've done a lot of things visually with paper to help me learn in different subjects in my life. And so I don't know why with language learning this took me so long to get to. Although when I was studying Spanish with Duolingo, I think that's one of the reasons that I progressed the farthest that I've gotten in Spanish with that, because it had a sound and a visual component and a visual picture and a visual word component, and it had really fun games. And generally I like Duolingo. I know they have crazy phrases on there. I don't care. I have heard that they put that in there to kind of mix things up and make it interesting, and I wouldn't be surprised. It sounds like the guys that make the company that makes Duolingo put a lot into these apps. So my hat's off to them. I think it's actually a really, really good app. They do not have a Chinese version as of yet, although I think they just came up with the Japanese version, didn't they? I think so. Anyway, so that's the thing, is I started to think I really need to have a visual to hang the sounds on, or have a visual to hang the meaning on. I need to see something. And that's why I'm going through this with the focus of reading and writing, because I need the visual. Also, I don't know how long I'm going to be in a Chinese-speaking country, right? So I'm here for at least another 6 months for this round, and we'll probably stay a second year in Shanghai. But to be quite honest with you, anything could happen at any time. Very, very fluid economies like this, things can happen at any time. We could stay another 1.5 years, or we could stay 6 months, and then the visa process, which is already getting harder for foreigners in China, could get progressively harder with our qualifications, and we could not be offered a renewal. I doubt that would happen that quickly, but it can. And so that's in the back of my mind, is what part of this language can travel with me? And in addition to being a visual learner and wanting something to hang the sounds on, I know that reading and writing online with newspapers and social media and all those kinds of things, that is something that can go with me no matter where I go. And even though I won't have, if we have to leave China, or if we choose to leave China, I won't necessarily have the language around me anymore, but I will have it online. And I am such a webhead, so if I have it online and I'm reading tweets every day and I'm going to news websites and doing stuff like that, I can keep going with my learning even if I'm not in the country. So it works out really, really well that I've kind of accidentally, defensively, come to learning the language this time via a visual medium that will travel with me and that doesn't take up space in my suitcase, except for the books I bought, which I don't have to keep. I can get rid of them if I'm done with them by then. I tend to carry very little with me from country to country. I don't know why I'm opening the book. I have a second video that I'm thinking about the pinyin and a theory that I have that's just really crazy, but that's a whole other video. I wanted to spend this time talking about writing. So I was actually, that's why I wanted to pick up the book. I was reading this book in at work. I was highlighting, I think I've talked about this book a lot already, but I was highlighting the top meaning parts, the most important parts for me for when I make the flashcards that I'm starting tonight. Yay! So I was doing that at work because I really, really wanted to get them highlighted, so when I got to making flashcards, I could just focus on making the flashcards and not identifying the main bits that I wanted. So now everything I want to use is in orange, and I'm good to go once I start making the flashcards. And so I was doing that at work, and one of the supervisors at work leans over the table. It's during break time, and she leans over and she goes, "That's so impressive." And I'm highlighting characters, so I'm like, what? Totally confused by what was impressive. I'm like, everybody can highlight. Totally not playing stupid, but I was like, I don't get it. What's impressive? I'm not writing them. I'm not even tracing them. I'm literally highlighting the important bits. And so she starts to tell me someone that she knew a few years ago, and he it sounds like, took a route similar to what I'm doing, because he was not learning a language just with the speaking route that is most often taught as your entry into learning Chinese. And so she started to describe his method to me, and it sounded so incredibly similar. And she was like, it's just really, really impressive. Like, he would walk around and he would show characters and then break them down and tell her the meaning of each one, and then tell her the meaning of the whole. And she said it's just so amazing that people can do that. And I'm looking at her going, she's saying this to me in English. She's I'm assuming fluent Mandarin speaker because she grew up here, and she was she lived in the UK, and then she's a fluent English speaker. And I'm just like, you think trying to learn by visually learning the characters is impressive? You're impressive. Like, you're having this conversation in your second language, if not your third language. I'm not really sure how many languages she speaks. So I was just floored that just by attempting to learn the characters, there was an acknowledgement of effort. And unlike a lot of other people who've been like, oh, you've got to learn the sounds, which I am actually learning them, but by hanging them on the characters. A lot of people have told me you need to learn the sounds first. And actually, the gentleman in here, the author, I should call him, talks about dealing with the sounds via pinyin and dealing with the characters separately, but at the same time, but dealing with them separately, so that you're not caught up on the characters to learn the pinyin, but you're learning the sounds so that when you get to them, you can put the two together and just take off. And so it's nice this week to have two different situations, both with this book, which I'm really liking, and the methodology in there matching what I've already started to do, and then having somebody who's a fluent speaker in a second language, and obviously clearly very, very fluent in her first language, is the one I'm trying to learn, say, hey, that's a good path. Like, that will work. You can do that. Because I've had a lot of people tell me, not you guys, and generally not online, in person, I've had a lot of people go, you just can't do it unless you start with speaking, or why would you even want to, learn to read? You only need to be able to say these few things. And I don't need naysayers. This is the path that I want to go on now, and this is the long-term goal, is the reading and writing things online eventually, and making the apps to help others read independently while they're out and about within Chinese-speaking environments and things like that. So I've got some goals that are heavily, heavily attached to the characters, because that is my strength, and that's what I need in order to learn the language. So I just wanted to clarify, I know I'm starting to learn the sounds via pinyin of the language, and I will make a million mistakes when I say them on this channel, and I don't 100% care if I ever get the sounds perfectly. What I care about is the ability to read, more so than write, because I'll probably be tracing or selecting characters in the future. So, but reading is a huge part of what I want to be able to do. The sounds, the pronunciation, as far as I'm concerned, is used to be able to distinguish characters from each other and to be able to talk about the language. So I'll probably make a ton of tonal mistakes from now until the end of my language learning with Chinese. I just will. It's not my main focus. And that's okay. That's okay for me. And it's okay to do things differently. And if you are someone who has tried to learn Chinese and you've tried to go the traditional route of learning speaking first, or only learning speaking and pinyin and never really learning the characters, then maybe you're a visual learner too, and maybe this is a route you can take. I don't know. Have you learned Chinese this way? Have you spent more time on the characters than you have on the pronunciation? Leave a comment below. I'd really like to know. I'd like to have a bigger group of folks who have done this, and then I can steal some of your resources. That would be awesome. I'm all about stealing resources. I was a teacher for over a decade. We stole, or we offered each other resources all the time in the teacher's room. Anyway, so thanks for listening to this technology and writing defensive writing methodology clarification, reiteration, whatever it's called. Thanks so much for the YouTube video feedback. I really appreciate that, and I'm answering them as quickly as I can. I now have today and tomorrow off, so I will be answering more of this stuff and doing more videos as time goes. So thank you so much, and until next time, bye-bye.